A historic moment for the Tampa Bay Rays and our community.
Major League Baseball is here to stay, right here.
As the team announces their plans to stay in St. Pete.
It means so much more to us than sports.
Tonight, we're uncovering what the future of downtown will look like, why some neighbors are already pushing back, and 10 investigates how much you're going to pay for it. We have team coverage. First tonight, a historic deal just announced is expected to put an end to the stadium saga that left the future of the Tampa Bay Rays in downtown St. Pete in limbo for the last 2 decades. This is 10 Tampa Bay at 6. I'm Carolina Lead.
And I'm Josh Sidorowicz in for Dave tonight. Today's announcement, it kicks off the largest economic development in the county's history. Take a look. This is what stands now, of course, in the historic gas plant district, Tropicana Field, and a whole lot of parking. But here is what is coming. A brand new ballpark along with several new developments. But while the team calls this a home run deal, some neighbors say they're striking out.
So tonight we have crews across the city and here in studio to get answers on when this will all happen and who's going to pay for it. We begin with 10 Tampa Bay's Aaron Parsegian at the Trop, where leaders say they are confident this time around it's close to becoming a reality.
We've seen renderings before. We've heard murmurs of potential deals dating back years, but today the Rays leadership and St. Pete Mayor Ken Welch projected a new air of confidence that this will actually happen. I mean, look no further than the message on the Jumbotron.
Major League Baseball is here to stay, right here.
Tampa Bay Rays principal owner Stu Sternberg putting it plainly after his team, the city of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County, reached a deal to build a $1.3 billion ballpark as part of a massive proposed 86-acre redevelopment project downtown.
The legacy of this project will last long after many of us are gone. But I promise you this, we will work diligently and thoughtfully to make certain that this is a project of which we will all be proud of.
And the Rays are committing more money than they've ever discussed doing before, $700 million and anything above cost. Team leaders say the growth of the community and fan base over the last several years made them comfortable with the commitment to St. Pete.
The trajectory of this community is so much greater than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and all the different arrows are pointing in the right direction.
And they're confident this time it's different. They believe there will be shovels in the ground in time. The city and county still need to vote on it, but they'll be on the hook for $300 million each. Mayor Ken Welch says it's an investment that will better the community and redevelop an area that sat stagnant for years.
For that $300 million investment, we will get back, as we've said, more than $6 billion of investment, 30,000 construction jobs, 7,000 permanent jobs.
It's more than just a state-of-the-art ballpark. The project also includes 4,800 residential units, an additional 1,200 affordable ones, several million square feet of office, retail, and entertainment space, 14 acres of public park, and a new home for the Woodson African American Museum of Florida.
This is what the community was promised. This is what business and civic leaders over decades have hoped for.
The goal is to break ground on this project by the end of next year. If and when that happens, it will be the biggest economic development project in the history of Pinellas County. In Tropicana Field, Aaron Parsegian, 10 Tampa Bay.
And while all of that was going on inside the Trop, outside, a group of faith leaders gathered to protest the announcement.
10 Investigates' Emerald Morrow was there as those demonstrators raised concerns about the new plan's cost amid the current housing crisis.
Yes, this stadium deal is shaping up to be pretty expensive for taxpayers, and those protesting today say the financial risk may not be worth the reward.
Who gives that kind of money to billionaires?
$600 million in taxpayer funds are on the table, and Faith in Florida says it is a slap in the face to the working class, a community struggling to make ends meet in a city that seems to get more and more expensive as the days go by.
Our central priority is to make sure that the land remains city-owned. That way we can continue to advocate for housing and we can advocate for those promises from the 80s to be fulfilled.
Promises of jobs and economic development for the historic gas plant community, a community bulldozed to make way for the current stadium. The current redevelopment plan calls for about 1,450 affordable units, and 600 of them are set to be off-site.
That's disingenuous, and anybody that believes that needs a calculator.
Mayor Ken Welch responded to criticism of the plan during today's announcement.
Now, I don't want to amplify a very small group of people who oppose it on a really rhetoric-based level.
Welch says most of the public funds set aside for the stadium must go toward economic development, and that some of the protesters' arguments are not based in fact. However, those who say the new stadium plan is not a good deal for taxpayers say they will keep pushing to make their voices heard.
But many of those people are voters, and they voted with hope that a black mayor would be able to restore and keep those promises. That just didn't happen.
In St. Pete, Emerald Morrow, 10 Investigates.
We are taking a deeper dive into the costs of the proposed new stadium deal. The city and the county will be left with the $600 million price tag. So where is that money coming from?
10 Investigates' Jennifer Titus has been looking into this for us today. Jen, what did you find?
Yeah, so I spoke with County Commissioner Kathleen Peters, and I asked her about the bed tax. They say will be used to pay their part of the bill, a bed tax that brings about $92 million a year for the county, and that is used for projects like beach renourishment. She says that there will be enough money for both.
It's not property taxes. It's not coming out of the general fund. That tourist development tax is for construction, capital costs, and for beach renourishment. Beach renourishment has been something we've been very concerned about, but we have gone through the numbers and the projections, and we do have enough money in reserves and incoming through that tourist development tax that will take us to fully fund the beach renourishment and fully fund this, as well as some other projects that are coming along.
Now, the county commission still has to vote on their part of the deal. And guys, I'm told that should take place in maybe even the next 2 weeks.
All right. So, Jen, what about the city of St. Pete? Why now?
I mean, right. That is the question that's on a lot of people's minds. This has been a deal that we've been talking about for a decade, at least a decade with mayors, right?
Yeah. So I sat down with the original mayor who started all of this, Mayor Bill Foster, who began these talks with the Rays back in 2009. He says after today's announcement, it feels good to see this come through, but I asked him as a taxpayer about that price tag. He says while it's a larger price tag than him or Mayor Kreisman's proposed stadium projects, it will work out because of all the mixed-use development. While current Mayor Welch says they are getting creative on how to pay this money, Foster says it is ultimately taxpayer money that doesn't end up in the general fund that could be used down the road for, say, potholes and law enforcement.
You're going to start saying millage rate, potential millage rate increases to cover the cost of living for general operating. And could the monies now dedicated to the Rays go to general operating? Eventually it could, but the city decided long ago, if you build it, they will come. The city of St. Petersburg decided we were a Major League Baseball city. We committed to that. You know what? There's a price tag and we're going to pay for it.
And this is a story we will just have to wait to see what happens. What will the ultimate cost be? Because as we all know, it always turns out to be more than what is the projected cost. Again, County Commission is set to vote on this in the next 2 weeks. And of course, I'll have to go to the city commissioners.
All right, Jen. So we, of course, are going to continue to stay on top of all of the developments as they happen.
And now's a good time to download the free 10 Tampa Bay app, because there you can see the full project plans and renderings, and we will send alerts straight to your phone as local leaders give their final say.